Good evening. Welcome to Poets Corner at Skillet Bennett Center. We are excited to have Henry Jones this evening as our featured poet. And whether you are with us in person or virtually, we are glad you are here. Henry is a poet, an artist, a playwright, an activist who writes and creates art about social issues, cultural connections, historical events, personal experience, spiritual relations inspired by roots of the African diaspora. I do know how to say that. He is also part of a group, and I will try to say this again, say it again, Ephrastic, where the poet draws from art and the interplay between word and art. Poetry, he has been part of Poetry for 2020 Vision Project for the Czech Republic, Poetry for Chaos and Awe exhibit, Frist Art Museum, featured art for Rockdale Review, and Poetry for Dance Performance, Homecoming exhibit, Rossi Turner Dance Troupe, Parthenon Museum. He shared at universities, cultural events, poetry venues such as Skillet Bennett Center, Oz Arts of Nashville, Music Circus, and others. He's published Run Into Blackness, Feeling My Poetic Gumbo, which received media praises, and also Black Skillet Blues, Poetry Without Cornbread. His published poets and arts has appeared in the United States and abroad in anthologies, journals, magazines, some of which include the Chicago Quarterly Review, Sinew, the Willow Visit Review, and the Vanderbilt Review, and many others. He exhibits frequently, and recently Jones won the People's Choice Award, the Centennial Art Center's interactive exhibit, and entrance for juried exhibit at the Todd Art Gallery. He's written many plays, and his play, Another Day, Another Dollar, is in production currently. He's an alumni of Fisk University here in Nashville. So we welcome Henry Jones. Thank you.
Good evening. I am happy to be here for a second time. You know, when you think about the last time you saw a person and you talked, especially a close friend, sometimes there's this tendency to count the years, and then you say to yourself, we need to keep in contact a lot easier and more often. But the Skillet Bennett Center is a place that I have kept in contact very often, exhibiting my art at the Lasky Gallery, and that was several times. I just finished the show there. One song for 3 journeys, 30 pieces, 30 poems. And the response really moved me, because I think regardless what any type of art is trying to do, you want to feel or know or see some type of connection with the people that hear you or see you and so forth. That's very important. I actually have some of the poems from that exhibit to share with you, because unless you saw the show, you wouldn't have read the poems. And that was the first time. And this is the second time in Poets Corner here at Skillet Bennett. So I'd like to open with the first poem. It's titled The Dream, which is also the name of that painting. The dream called to me one night, my ears listening to a distant noise, a familiar but strange, far away sound, a voice from within calling my name. Dream. The next is titled We Swim in healing waters. And in the ideal world, if I had these beautiful projections where you could see some of these images, maybe you could see the connection. I've done lectures like that. We swim in healing waters. Our world is mostly of many waters. We're flesh flowing with many waters, a fluid in us, and internal rivers of currents which never end to heal our battered shores. This poem, The Holes I Have, it was featured in chapter 16 of the Tennessee Humanities, and it's from the Sinew Anthology. The Holes I Have. A soft light reflects on my walls, filling the room with cheerful dancing silhouettes. Images tracing along hidden places flood my brain through these holes in my head called eyes. These strange creatures soar through the pinks, blues, and whites of the covers, quilted happiness to the strands and stories heard each night of places and people, then warm kisses goodnight echo in my mind through these holes in my head called ears. Now old, drinking brandy, full-bodied, a calm invades my bones with warmth, bringing a hush, a contentment, like these stories, drinking nectar to rain on the castles in my mind. Playful games kill the dragon flowing inside through the long gutter in my head called a mouth. Years of the living, the dead, the hushed, the moving. Ancient winds blow across my face, scent of old lies, becoming a dry desert, once salty oceans of plenty. Aromas persist along the flowing currents, rye from the fields, roses on the bush, strings of honeysuckle. Through these downward holes in my head called a nose, the sights, sounds, taste, and smell of you. From these years surrounding me, inspiring me to paint an unseen image. Many pictures replayed and relived by longing for you. Those things which I have yet to see or feel for many years. I peeked back at those moments, wondering what to do now, with the hole in my chest where a beating heart once pounded for you. This is a poem that I wrote specifically for an event. And just like in life, you might have something that you cherish, but then you lose it. And I was telling a friend about this poem before the event started, and I found it. And I found it because it needed to be here, and it needs to be in the projects. And when I wrote it, I felt good about the message. And there's a process. It's titled, To Be Who We Be. It's just us trying to be who we be. Raised to become warriors to fight with marches, boycotts, and riots, and overcoming war where we follow the paths of old blood leading us back to the past as we approach the echoes of ancestral voices sounding like wind. Lost whispers trying to reach our ears, find the awaiting canals which heard those voices to our heads and hearts, becoming a movement to again while we try to remain just sane. It's just us trying to be who we be. Growing up beaten into submission until plantation days knock some sense into our heads, because we've been taught deal with blacks by beating them, their pain tolerance is high. Deny them love and affection, especially the men, make them suffer long
and hard. They can take it. So they wouldn't feel human and believe the lie of being less while we try to remain sane. It's just us trying to be who we be, living and working to rise, a family without fears of being lynched, as the scent of white cheering picnic families still applauding with pictures of slaughtering black lives, wondering why we're so angry. Because our flesh is a toy, used to tease or please them and never mattered, beaten like a mad dog of dark desire, while we try to remain sane. It's just us trying to be who we be, keeping it together with love, drowned confidence weakened from years of people shouting, your black butt ain't nothing. That's why things not right, you the problem, just die. Stop calling yourself black. You ain't black or African, you're nothing because they stripped you. No culture, no name, no pride. Reaching for books and hopes to become better, rise from those words and scream, I am somebody. Well, we try to remain sane. It's just us trying to be who we be. Looking into a history of ancient days, world wonders built by black people, DNA laced with the glory of genius within you, the doors of layered realms. This flows in your blood each day, feeding you with the third eye, awakening the sleeping Kemetic genes, which tell you, wake up! The ancients seem to know one day we need to remember who we are, so they built and built and built and built to give us hope for the world to see us as we are. Children of the sun, not ashamed, while we try to remain sane. It's just us trying to be who we be, rising woke to a sun which lacks the memory of the flowing now. Drink from that fountain for strength to nourish us and to help in the amnesia. Become filled with hope instead of fears. So when we walk down the street, we don't shuffle and hide or cling to pain and misery while chasing the straight hair to get our heads right when what we got, it's all right, natural, and whole instead of polluting our bodies with chemicals not meant for us while we try to remain sane. It's just us trying to be who we be while we keep searching for the right liberation books to save us, give us a map, so we'll know the way, how to carry so much on our backs, hoping we're going the right direction while we walk the walk and talk the talk, and like the old folks say, some sidestep to backslide into a crazed shuffle of slavery with an eager smile to please, denying to be seen as human or even respected as human. Then fall to our knees to praise anything because we hate being black, even being called black, while we try to remain sane. It's just us trying to be who we be, a lost darkness looking for light, to live with clear thoughts, healed from what we've done to each other, not understanding how deeply the roots reach into the foundation, making us angry and confused. Those fraying roots weakened by lead water and lead paint in our communities, laced with medical inequalities, as we hear stories about human experimentation of black bodies and denied health care, toxic waste piled in our communities, while they ask us in confusion, don't black folks want to be healthy? While we try to remain sane. It's just us trying to be who we be. We just so tired of dealing with so much, leaching into our flesh, making us sick and tired, still sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired. Generation after generation, seeking, hoping, reading the books, linking arms with people who don't look like us, who say we matter. Looking for that love, but remain silent about the cameras when the cameras are gone. Or we go home at times feeding ourselves like we were taught to push the hurt deeper inside, to ensure the chains stay wrapped around our minds so we don't know true freedom. When we listen to the stars, we just want to be woke and human, while breaking those rusty chains from so much pain, while still imbalancing the scale of injustice, while trying to remain sane. And of course, a lot of what's been going on TV and all that, it's historical. And it's hard not to respond. This next poem, you have children. You want your children to feel safe. You want your children to be able to aspire to reach their dreams. And just like the previous poem, there's a lot to contend with. Everyone has that. And I wrote this poem for our 3 daughters. And I saw a bird on a branch, and there was a nest, and the little heads of the babies were hopping. And you know, they say, well, other animals, children grow, and they like, get out, get on your own, go, go, go. You know what to eat, you know what to eat. And this poem is titled Wings. When I give you wings, I expect you to fly, not hold your arms stiffly to the side like unmovable giant ancient trees covered with wounds they cannot hide within rings revealing Earth's old breeze. Wildfires burn a death-kept charcoal pit, leaves smoldering in the gases of their own. Lightning ignited the forest with just one hit. Songs of crackling wood, now char-blown. When I give you wings, I expect you to fly, not hide full of fear and doubt in your brain, refusing to widen your arms and ride the wind, paralyzing your soul to help spring restrain. At least free fall and glide by faith or pretend. Either the ground will kiss you to death, rejecting who and what you are born to be, or awaken in flight with the grasses below. So right now, jump up, then out from this tree. When I give you wings, I expect you to fly, not crouch down crying a storm of tears, tightly shutting your eyes to what can be, your body trapped in a cocoon of fears. Tear away those many layers to become free. Remember your vision before you felt crushed, when riding currents was more than in dreams, flying high while looking down, feeling unrushed. Now rise up to touch the sun, flowing on ancestral streams. 'Cause when I give you wings, I expect you to fly, 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 until you can feel the wind lifting you, my child. Wings. I wrote this book. Donna spoke of inspirations. And I was invited with 2 other poet friends to read at a senior center. And there was a little arch of chairs. And there was one guy, he was sitting by the window, and the coordinator said he stays there every day. He'll get up, come in, and he comes in and he sits by the window and looks outside. And I was just being nosy, wondering, what's he looking at? And I wrote this poem, I Sit Here. I sit here trying to remember. When was the last tight hug I felt and returned to someone? Of once vague but happy moments But today, I just sit and smile by this window looking. I sit here trying to remember, when was the last like I gave or received on the lips of a lover long ago. But today, I want to be wanted. In this chair, waiting for the sun's warmth. I sit here trying to remember, when was the time I felt so angry, with my eyebrows and mouths wide for screaming and fighting about something. But today, I have this somewhat soothing peace to keep me comfortable for hours. I sit here trying to remember, when did I stop remembering to live? After seeing so many die, leaving me, full of grief, silence, and emptiness. But today, I will get up from this throne to make new friends, to talk and smile with. I sit here. I think I looked at him because I have those moments of feeling lonely. And I think a lot of poets, we write about depression, loneliness, and all that. And there's being alone and there's loneliness. And this next poem is titled Loneliness. Stormy memories make blurry, heavy eyes. Loneliness drips into my lap, a pond of tears. Wanting this dreary day to bring out the sun, needing warmth to awaken cold of the years, heart tired of hearing those old, twisted lies. Allowed a mouth to kiss, to swallow a tongue, hoping to steal my love with a single kiss. I wanted sweetness, been in decay too long. Needed more than numbness to empty shame. Dripping rain made dew come and flow. Clinging with this stranger, I couldn't resist. That tongue on skin, familiar trembles, I know. Lost in a moment, forsaken flesh, just a game. Didn't touch my heart, but pulled on my desire. Funky spell of passion lingers on my sheets. Still alone, but glowing in this simmering fire. Loneliness. That was inspired because a friend of mine was about to do something stupid, lonely. And I think, you get out your head and it's like, I just need to know you don't just need to jump out there. Baldwin speaks of old and new lynches. James Baldwin, one of my favorite authors. I was in a program called Artwire. I was an Artwire fellow. And our goal was we saw these various performances at the Oz Art Center. And we would write in response to those, similar to the acrostic that Donna spoke of earlier. But these were live performances, and every month there was something. Well, there was a group, a band, and they did an entire series of songs based on James Baldwin. Never seen anything like it. Only heard, his speeches on cassette tapes and many of his books. And this piece was inspired from that. Baldwin speaks of old and new lynches. When just above my head, a lynching. Seeking relief from grieving eyes, leaking slowly in disbelief, racing hypertensive heartbeats, fear in my chest pounding loudly, beats to our African ancestors sounding like distant drums, awakening the deep slumber, listening to those ancient chants, scores of music that seem familiar. Dry branches applaud the wind, moving like praises to the word, clinging to old star songs coded, echoing on the Nile's currents, catfish dance in death's muck. From Egypt to Mississippi woes, trying to find hidden bodies still. Wanting the sorrow to end now, looking for blurry, heavy eyes, a sea of salty cries, falling never dry. Will we ever mop up all the blood, staining history's pages crimson and black, raising our children as Kwanzaa corn, missing still many snatch burned ears? Where did they hide those children? They sizzle in the raging fires as they rise. Smoke twirling up, signals pointing, showing children the way home, searching for lost souls in limbo, knowing mass graves still hidden by the twisted hearts of demons. We only desire a fearless darkness, counting the names in police records, watching the video footage of blue lies, allowing the rabid dogs to storm free with desire to hunt more black meat. Trumpet blows for a new Harriet glory, running through concrete and steel instead of fields, telling weary people to keep moving. Mourning stunted mind she left behind to live on smiles and shuffle dances. When their butts got tired and cramped, working along the same another day, longing a white cloth savior loves them, reaching for threads tied to their necks, then sticking into a noose for a picnic. Erected another native son, proud day, dragging flesh from his slave bones, banging on plantation floors, rapes, castrating tails to stop the black seed, dry, thin lips shouted about new trophies. When stuffed heads hang on the walls, stirring old hunt memories for sons, climaxing semi-automatic penises shoot, emptying hatred onto the dirty, lusty sheets with uncovered heads and proud smiles. Now screams about their rightful place, waving Confederate pride in the sun, standing their ground, a fearless old glory, bringing loads of cotton for more flags, hemp fibers to write a new constitution. When Baldwin, the old pastor's son, watching blacks pull the weave apart, revealing their frailty and strength, trapped naked beasts in the flower garden, clothed in sermons for marching plans. Around the world, loud outcries for justice, walking unstoppable waves of change, holding up signs for all to hear our voices, seeking proof of humanity to redeem. Now, the fire next time is freedom's glow. And that fire, when we're seeing that around the world, the protests, the world protests, and people connecting. There was another kind of fire. That was with the COVID virus. I'm asthmatic, and before the vaccine became positive, I was dealing with it. And it took me a while, and I am not 100. I still have respiratory issues and things, but I've worked through a lot. I feel blessed to be alive. You know, there's some stuff, but then, you know, you think you're going through something, you hear what others are going through. You know? And this poem, Virus Condemnation. This small but powerful fly, infecting me, awaiting death, to kiss my lips gently like a caring lover, hungry to taste my mouth's wetness. My tongue forsakens me when I abandon my thoughts, wanting only to feel warmth. Let the desires pour down my throat like a sweet wine, flowing and flowing. I swallow the cries I want to scream to the wind. Nothing to carry but silence, or the distant moans that slowly fade. An inverted echo applauding lost voices no longer understood as words or anything. Anyone understood, the only thing making sense is I'm slowly dying, waiting. My chest labor in pain, wondering why my inhaler isn't working as well. The puffs are nothing but streams of air, seeking lungs to expand, but instead the stale air remains inside. An exchange to share. Why can't I get enough hope into my lungs, I wonder? Where's my lover to give me mouth to mouth to bring back the life with one passionate kiss? My lover is a bug that's going for my mouth through this mask. This next poem is titled Run to Freedom. This was inspired because I can't remember what city. I'm a runner. I like to jog. Haven't done it in a while, but it shows. There's a guy, black guy, he was followed, and he was running through a park with a jogging uniform and everything, and he looked suspicious. And that kind of led to other stories saying how black runners, there's this feeling that if you run in public, you will be watched. And then they started interviewing runners of different races, and of course, people of color, they felt uncomfortable just simply out there running. And I thought about the psychology of that, and I said, well, there's a symbolism between running and seeking freedom, and it led to this poem, Run to Freedom. And as she feeds running, from drifting born of raging fires, crossing deadly paths, wrong neighborhood, wrong color, wrong person, wrong face, wrong clothing, wrong way. A full moon smiling, sprinting to find safety, once through tall grasses, now concrete and steel. Wrong neighborhood, wrong color, wrong person, wrong face, wrong clothing, wrong way. Looking up at the sky, seeking prayers from the lost tongues and eyes, dream-smashed heads. Wrong neighborhood, wrong color, wrong person, wrong face, wrong clothing, wrong way. Still no direction with GPS at the fork, confused journey, still searching for the right way, leaving my burnt offerings. Wrong neighborhood, wrong color, wrong person, wrong face, wrong clothing, wrong way. Run, blood-scented paths, run, tears blinding vision, run, flesh-salted jerky, dog sent to find for the hunt. Wrong neighborhood, wrong color, wrong person, wrong face, wrong clothing, wrong way. Those pits circle like vultures, barking out death chants, demon chamber circles, mouths smiling and laughing. Wrong neighborhood, wrong color, wrong person, wrong face, wrong clothing, wrong way. Another sacrifice made, seeking blessings answered, and the fumes of the flames burn the filth away again. Wrong neighborhood, wrong color, wrong person, wrong clothing, wrong way. Ashy feet still walking in paradise, sacred ground, polluting our fruit, they scream. Under bloodlust moon, wrong neighborhood, wrong color, wrong person, wrong face, wrong clothing, wrong way, still in 2022. And it gives pause. Our homes are places of sanctuary. And Black Skillet Blues, this is wonderful. I can't say exactly. This is the first. I thought about two things. My father was raising my brother and I, learning to cook. Some of you remember Hamburger Helper. That was a specialty of his. And it was good. It was good. You know, wouldn't eat it now. But he did master cornbread. So every time I make it, or eat it, I think of my father. He passed away in 2002. And cornbread. Cornbread memories of the skillet, brown and black edge winking at me, making me smile. While watching the butter glide along the yellow surface, dripping into the sinkholes made by toothpicks to partially soak the inside with a sweet and salty flavor, almost cake-like. Cornbread made us, black folk, hungry to be, cooked in a hardness as the temperature rises, getting slightly burned on the edge, but keeping all the flavor inside. Just enough heat to transform your inside and make whole, firm, keep you there together. A spiritual food made to feed the soul with strength. Cornbread. At the Park Ladon Museum in Nashville, part of a two-person exhibit, and we were looking at the gentrification going on in North Nashville. I had these large, colorful, abstract paintings, and I was looking at the other artist, Omari Booker, and his work is colorful, but it was more realistic. And we're dealing with the topics, and some of the things, we made a documentary, some of the things we talked about, it triggered memories when I was growing up. One thing is you getting home before the streetlights came on. And so this poem, Once We Ran with the Wind, the curator, he loved it. I sent it to him because I was inspired, because what we're dealing with. And he said, yeah, this brings the images and everything together. And I felt really good. And they put it on exhibit with the art. And I'd like to share it with you. Once we ran with the wind. I, searching for old paths, longing to find our lost dreams, once so easily found in the streets, named after no one we knew or anyone who cared about us. Legs racing for the house, seeing a beacon to get home before the streetlights came on, lit for swift children to know, passing, smiling, waving neighbors, better move your butt faster. They knew why we ran, to prevent whippings with a belt for being late, not again. So we ran like a gazelle, swallowing Wilma's breath, giving you a second wind, pretending to be the hero Flash. Better get home soon, late legs, as trails of dry leaves rose and fell, quickly hiding our direction so hunters couldn't follow you home, marked that sacred space as condemned. Our houses was all we had, but just enough to make us believe we were safe at night. A home where laughter coated the walls, layered memories of joy and pain, welcomed griot voices that echoed history with stories about the now to now. As bowlegs kept moving, knowing we walked faster and faster. We walked on pothills filled roads to work. We marched on hot tar streets for justice. We ran through grassy fields to freedom. We danced to release all our heartache. Until weary eyes worn but kept moving. Until those legs found their way back home. No matter how far, they never stopped moving. Finding a way to make a way. Finding that they shouldn't stop. Because it isn't in us to stop ever. So when we fall, we rise mighty again. On strong currents with wide wings, we learn to fly away, seeing faces as pavers along the paths. These journeys of rising and falling, so many times we became dizzy. But we just smiled, still moving and changing motion into music, pulling out songs from our hearts, singing words with our longing, old spirituals of those way makers. Still we struggle to keep going. No one can see us moving alone. Ghostly glances of us past new faces, twisted smiles stand their ground, new roads, new faces, new places. We just gone, vanished overnight. Pretending we never existed, only secret remains found of us as eyes search for old paths, longing to find our lost dreams in those streets. This next poem is titled Old Eyes. I was talking about when you can look at someone and you can see the features on their face, wounds, scar tissue, whatever. And I've been a starer all my life. And this old man, he had some of the thickest wrinkles. And this is his poem. Old eyes, hanging on the face of an old man, looking from the frame of an old image. Just a pair of old eyes, blinking and appearing tired. Perhaps his dry eyes are still searching for his dreams. Old eyes. Let me see how we're doing for time. Okay, let me wrap it up. In Hendersonville, there is the correct wording is enslaved Africans, but there's they call it a slave cemetery. And there's this annual cleanup that occurs, and I participated in these various groups. I heard about it, and I thought about it. I said, have I ever seen this? I said, no, I have never seen a cemetery of enslaved Africans. And you know, when you meet someone or you enter something, or it could be a religious service or a spiritual event, you get these tingles. And it was gated off, and when I walked through, I'm listening to the coordinator explain things and what we're supposed to do with our rakes and bags and so forth. But I was just pulsating with these tingles. And I was like, whoa, this place. And I've been to cemeteries before. And for whatever reason, later that night, I wrote this piece and sent it to the organizers. It's titled, We Walk Amongst the Past. We walk amongst the past. We walk amongst fallen dry leaves and strong, twisting vines, hiding headstones of distant lives that echo within these graves, some unmarked but remembered in teary, grieving eyes, countless flesh and bones once held now rest these beaten slaves. Like those vines, our ancestors reach and catch everyone who dies. Flowers gone, trees just mark loved ones, visits in their special place. So much silence and death amongst the pain and days of long ago. Wind blows tumbling autumn leaves, sending gentle prayers of grace. Unfamiliar, healing hands dig deeply to plant spring flowers to grow. Then remove dead branches and leaves, showing more history to reveal. Layers of lies uncovered in silence and hidden stories, but no one listens. Now we can walk our lost trail of tears, hear their voices, and begin to heal. We walk amongst the past. Fisk University is where I attended college undergrad. Very special place. And there's a whole story behind how I even discovered Fisk and everything. Found out I had several family members that attended. I didn't know. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And so I wasn't really familiar, I'm being honest, Fisk Jubilee singers. And heard them. I was in Detroit and Dallas, so forth. And when you're a teenager, you kind of enter your own little world. The first time I heard them, this piece came out. Later, I don't remember if it was that night or the next. Jubilee, Great Jubilee. And in fact, this poem is going to be part of the Music City Jubilee that's going to come out in June. Vita Finley, Kristen Riley, and Rossi Turner are the playwrights. And we've been working on it. We go to rehearsals and all numerous things and some outreach programs to just sing excerpts. And I presented this to the director, Vita, and she said yes. So it's going to be this wonderful interactive dance, and I can't wait to see it. And I hope you come so you can see it. In fact, Stella Reed Patterson's going to recite it. Jubilee, great Jubilee. There are shadows that sing from heaven. Their voices excel the great divine. Their spirits praise in the glory of the hope that words assign. Voices that touch the morning to raise a newborn son as the heart extols its pain and sorrow grieves for joy to begin. There is more to these words than sadness or stale loneliness left to our fears. From the lungs filled with darkness, the shadows expel the lost years. When do these waving tongues rest? When the wind is not calling long, our eyes in tears find the jubilee, when the soul gives birth to a song. Jubilee, great Jubilee. I mentioned sadness being a poet, and you deal with it. I think as poets, we write about it, we find that healing part, and we move on. And I guess that's journaling too, right? You write it down. This poem is titled Emptiness. Once again, I feel hollow. Desolation blows through me like a tornadic wind. I'm filled with emptiness. Sitting here waiting, looking. Should I grab the dusty bottles of old gin to pour down my throat, then welcome the sting in blurry eyes? Let the twin of water find my stomach, which is full of spicy comfort food, swimming around in my belly, burning to help me feel alive again. Anything to distract the hollowness is needed and wanted, but hated, while hoping the fire will pass, wondering why I ate that food, knowing the heat would burn my insides. I just wanted to feel something, even if it hurts. Resembling the shared pain with my lover, which awakens flesh with long trembles, sweet bites as mouths serenade the flesh to surrender to pleasure. Dripping trails of released brutality of animalistic lust and gentleness of treasured love, perhaps a blending of both. Edging on ecstasy until our storm soaks us in a pond where we float, holding each other in peace, enjoying the little death. Now I'm surrounded by just darkness, made like those same rain clouds which help camouflage my tears in this loneliness, but wasn't alone for the moment. My ignited stomach was there. It didn't mimic emotion, but only eclipsed desire, a shadow without sun or you. Blending in the inner pitch of night, searching for a rope to grab and become a tether to hold on to above this greedy black hole, pulling and sucking me deeper and deeper into its well, promising not to crush me, but deliver me into another place, a better place of different suns. I feel only the continued lure, falling as nothing seems to help. But then, I feel your eyes on me. I turn my head just slightly and see your smiling face. Your eyes reach me, regardless of the distance or across the crowd of people. We look and only see each other. You shine like the sun, removing the clouds and rains, parting a way back to see better days when in your arms I become new again for just another day. Emptiness. Sometimes you won't find the right words, but just embracing people is enough. And this poem, Lift Me Up Until My Wings Are Strong. It's that type of poem. Lift me up until my wings are strong, that I won't walk alone each day, stumbling sometimes, but not for long, a journey paved to make our way. Lift me up while with your heart and head. I want to take the steps to try, widening my wings ready to spread. Then I'll lift you up, and then we'll fly. How much time do I have?
About 4 more minutes.
This is perfect then. Okay. I mentioned cornbread. I grew up, I wasn't a bad child. I wasn't a bad child. Because that looked like it, right? I wasn't a bad child. I mean, I had friends, they were really looked. You know, switches. And my father belt on so many legs, you know. It would be the talking belt, my brother would go, "Why didn't I tell you?" You know, it's like, and if you answered, that would lead to another discussion, you know. This poem is reminiscent of my childhood, and it's called Go Get Some. My young, long, brown, and skinny legs love to run through fields of dandelion flowers with white clusters as my feet kicked as many as possible, exploding them and filling the air with seeds, which floated around seeming to block the sun, creating a snowstorm of germination. Today, those knobby knees were sent into the backyard. I was given a butcher knife and pushed outside, where a large 6-foot bush near our garden, this bush's thick branches reached toward the sky, as though trying to reach the clouds for rain, each arm covered in flaky paper, thin bark, reminding me of delicious layers of warm biscuits. On windy days, those flakes molted off easily as the branches slowly swayed back and forth like a church choir singing that song which made the church love to hear and stood praising, raising their arms, shouting joyfully, moving with the choir left and right, singing with them because they'd been through something. The flakes flew through the air and swirled around like falling autumn leaves where I stood in the middle of their descending dry offerings and just smiled. Some even kissed my nose or lips along the way. I'd reached out with my eyes closed and catched a few and crushed them with my hands, listening carefully as their remains crumbled in my powerful palms. Instead of singing with praises or crushing for joy, I needed to find a special branch, in fact, a bundle of them. I reached along the ground where new growth sprouted and found several long, thin arms to cut down quickly, slicing through all of them with one swoop and pull. Then I shook them like trying to swat a horsefly. They swayed in arches, making unbreakable bends, whipping sounds. I marched back to the house, looking down at my steps, moving closer and closer while wondering, what did I do? When did I do it? Where did I do it? Or was this whipping for something in the future? Soon I'd stand erect by the bed, squeezing my butt, then lay down on the mattress with my pants down mid-thigh, waiting for the switches to hit and make me bounce and scream. Just 2 steps to the entrance of the door. I reached up, turned the knob. My eyes adjusted to the darkness inside as the door slowly opened. My hand with the knife whispered, "You could just kill her, maybe." The other hand screamed, No, just go ahead and get your whipping over. She approached me with a wicked smile and then laughed until her eyes flowed with tears while grabbing the bundle, and then said, "Child, I told you to go out in the back and get some collards, not switches." And I leave you with the center painting She walks in a garden of her tears from the exhibit at Lasky. This poem. Intertwining chaos, attempting to destroy her. She returns to her inner and outer garden, a place to find beauty and strength again, as tears of joy and sadness blended in her.